Albert Einstein was traveling by train. It was funny, this morning I was starting the story and we had some sound effects because there was a train honking its horn out there just as I was starting. But he was on a train traveling from Princeton. And the ticket master's coming through the aisle, and Albert's looking for his ticket in his jacket pocket and his pants pocket. He's not finding it, and the ticket master comes up to him and says, "It's okay, Mr. Einstein, I know who you are. It's okay, you don't need to show me your ticket." And he's still looking for it, and he goes, "No, it's here somewhere, it's here somewhere." And he's still looking, and the ticket master just moves on because he knows who he is. He gets to the end of the car and turns back, and Albert Einstein's on his hands and knees looking under his seat for his ticket. And he says to Mr. Einstein, "Mr. Einstein, it's okay. We all know who you are." And he said, "Young man, I know who I am too. I just don't know where I'm going." Needed that ticket. So, do we know where we're going? Do we know where we're going, or are we just drifting along, going with whatever comes at us? A couple weeks ago, my husband Kevin and I were in San Diego. We took our oldest granddaughter, she's 7, Reagan, and we took her to San Diego. First time she ever left her parents and her sister and went away with anyone. And we did a whole bunch of fun stuff, but one of the things that we did was go on a sailboat. We went on a sunset cruise on a sailboat. There's another family with us. It was a couple and their son, 12-year-old son. And the Captain Greg, was so great about letting the kids steer the boat, and yell out the commands. And as we're getting ready to take off, to leave the dock, he's telling us, giving us instructions. He's like, "Okay, now, you can sit up in the bow of the boat in the front, but if we're going to turn, I'm going to shout out, 'Ready about,' and that means we're going to turn. And if you don't duck, if you don't lower yourself down as far as you can, you're going to get hit with the boom, and you could get thrown overboard." So, great. We're out there sailing, and he lets Reagan up at the steering, at the helm. Reagan's at the helm, steering the boat, still learning her left and right, so it was a little tricky. But he says, "Okay, we're going to turn right, and you got to yell 'ready about.'" And she's so into this. She's 7. "Ready about." So ready about means get ready. There's going to be a change. So how many of you, ready about, are you ready? You can, when somebody says on a sailboat, "ready about," you say back, "ready." So ready about. Woo, we were not ready for that. So she did great. Nobody got hit by the boom. Everybody knew. But wouldn't we love to have a warning like that in life? Change is coming. Somebody yells, "ready about." Here it is. It's coming. But life doesn't always work that way. Change happens. Now, ready about for this change, that we're all coming back into the sanctuary. We're doing away, a lot of us vaccinated and doing away with masks. How many are ready about for that? Ready? If you're at home, you can type in "ready" on the chat box. Ready about? Ready. Yeah, we're ready for this. But with children, it was so funny because we were reminded, spending 4 days with our granddaughter and not any parents to kind of, take over, which was awesome. But we were reminded at how quickly they change, how quickly they can change their moods from laughter to tears in like that. And I share that with you because most of us, or if you have raised children, you know what I'm talking about. That they can change their moods so quickly. And as we're raising kids, we go through so many different phases as we raise them. It's challenging. It brings up all of our own stuff. It shows us who we are. It's like shining a mirror in our face as our kids change and we either adapt or not. I'm sharing this because we're talking about children in this. We're doing Elizabeth Lesser's, we're using Elizabeth Lesser's book, Broken Open. If you were here in the winter, we did a small group program on the first half of the book. And then we asked many of you in a survey if you wanted us to use the second half of the book in the fall, and enough of you said no. So we're going to do a talk series on it. And there's 3 sections, and Scott and I will both take 1 week to discuss each of the sections. So this week is finishing up on children. This is the second week of 6. And children are always changing and changing our lives. A lot like sailboats moving with the wind. Ella Wheeler Wilcox is a poet from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and she was watching the ships come into the New York harbor. I wasn't quite ready yet. She's watching the ships come into the New York harbor, and she saw them coming in from the east and coming in from the west, and the wind's coming in from the same direction, so how are these ships coming into the same destination? She wrote this poem about her experience. One ship goes west, one ship goes east, another goes west, by the self-same winds that blow. 'Tis the set of the sails and not the gales which determine the way they go. I love that because it's not the wind. It's not the circumstances of our lives that determine necessarily the way we go or the destination we want to get to. It's the set of the sails. It's our standing at the helm, at the wheel. It's our changing the sails to use the wind. So many times in life, we're just drifting. We're just getting pushed around or reacting from circumstance to circumstance and letting them take us wherever, instead of picking a destination, living a life that we would love, and setting our course. If we really want to live a life that we would love, we have to set a destination, a direction, and stay focused on that. And then take the helm of our thoughts. Be in charge of those thoughts. That whatever is happening is not going to sway us from where we want to go. Life's journey is not a straight line. The spiritual path is not a straight line, much like a sailboat that has to tack. It goes when the wind is not at its back, it has to diagonally tack back and forth to get to where it wants to go. Little steps. We do this in life too. If we have a destination, or we just let the wind blow us around. It's up to us. Much like raising children. We can decide that we want them to grow up to be independent, compassionate members of society. And if that's our destination, then we have to chart the course. We have to move with the wind, move with their changing moods, with their growth as they grow. Parenting is challenging. Yeah. It's really challenging. And we have to constantly make these correction courses, or correction in the course of our direction. We have to be creative and flexible and adaptable. Much like sailing, because you never know which way the wind's going to turn. Constant state of ready about. Being ready. Because they will grow and they will test the waters, and then they will leave us to live their own life. And many of us have experienced that. There's a saying, wherever you go, there you are. You've probably heard that. It means that no matter where you go, you are always bringing all your habits, all your patterns, all your beliefs, all your baggage with you. You can't escape who you are. That it all comes with you. Well, I like that phrase, but I like better this one. Wherever you go, there I am. I am. The big I am. That I am that is within us, that divine essence that is within us. This is Unity's second principle. First one being God is everywhere present, one power, one presence, everywhere present. And the second being, and it's in us. It's within us. Wherever you go, there I am. That God part of us, that spiritual part of us goes with us. Not just all the baggage. We can choose to listen to that part of us. In the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, Unity's Bible Dictionary, it says this about the I am. I am is God's name in man. It is Jehovah, the indwelling Christ, true spiritual man whom God made in his image and likeness. The outer, manifest man is the offspring of the I am, or inner spiritual man. By use of I am, we link ourselves with outer seemings, or we make conscious union with the Father, with spirit, with abiding life, wisdom, love, peace, substance, strength, power, and truth. It's our choice how we identify with that I am. We can identify with that spiritual essence of ourselves, or we can identify with the outer in all its wind shifts and drift around. It's up to us what we want to focus on or align with. There was a hunter who was hunting in a forest, and he stepped on some underbrush that happened to be the edge of a cliff. And as he fell, his rifle went one way, his backpack went the other way, and he started falling, and he grabbed onto a branch that was sticking out the side of the cliff. And he looked down, and all he saw were jagged rocks. And he knew there was nobody with him, that he was hunting alone. And in his despair, in his fear, he started yelling, "Help me, help me, help me," just hoping somebody might hear him, but knowing there wasn't anybody. All of a sudden, he heard a loud voice booming, I'm here, lad. I will help you. I will bring you to safety." And the guy's like, "Oh, thank you." And so the voice then says, there's just one thing you have to do. And the hunter's like, "Anything." And the loud voice booms back, "Let go of the branch." And the man, of course, paused, thinking about his options, and yells up, "Is there anyone else up there?" We don't like to give up control. We see circumstances and we think that's all there is. There's so much resistance of giving up control and things that happen, but we can't control the winds. We can't control everything. We can't control things that are outside of us. We can only respond to them. It's how we set our sails. We can use the wind to propel us forward, or let it just knock us around. We can't stop our children from growing up and leaving us, but we can control our relationship with them when they do. We can allow a relationship to evolve. Wherever you go, there I am. One of the chapters in Elizabeth Lesser's book in this section is called Iron John. And maybe you've heard of Iron John. It was a book written by Robert Bly, poet. At the time, it was published in 1990, but it started a movement, the Mythopoetic Men's Movement, which was a series of retreats and workshops to help men become more, to embrace their masculinity and their power and their strength and their protectiveness, but to also be tender. And in the reading of this section, this chapter, she talks about how his book says that in order for a boy to become a man, he must steal the key from under his mother's pillow. Meaning, mothers are pretty protective of their sons, of their boys. I have a boy, I know. But he must steal the key. And someone in one of the workshops said, well, I don't really like stealing. I don't approve of stealing. Can't he just ask his mom to give him the key? And Robert Bly replied, no, it doesn't work that way, because no mother would ever hand it over. They want to keep their sons close. Elizabeth Lesser says this about stealing the key. In order for them to step boldly into their own lives and to discover their purpose and their power, they had to steal the key. I couldn't do it for them. They needed my resistance in order to push through their own fears of independence and responsibility. That resistance helps us. We're so resistant to change sometimes, especially when it comes to our kids leaving home. Or maybe not, if they were tough teenagers. Maybe we're ready. But without resistance, the sail has to the wind, there's no movement. That resistance is a sign that there's transition taking place, that there's growth taking place, there's movement. Resistance is a good sign. Because our egos want to keep us small. Our egos don't want change. Our egos don't want us to grow. They like comfortable. And who would change if we're comfortable? Why would we? If we're comfortable and life is good and everything's going great, why would we even bother to try to grow, to stretch? We wouldn't. I have a daughter and I have a son, and my daughter is the older one, and when she was 18, she's fiercely independent, which I love about her. Fiercely independent. And when she was 18, she moved away to college and never came back. Never came back home, for a visit. Hasn't lived in the same state as me since then. And my son, I've noticed a difference. He moved here to Colorado. He's 4 years younger. He needed to steal the key for me to let him go. I want to keep him safe. It was the hardest thing to let my baby go. Maybe some of you can relate to that, but we can't keep protecting them. We can't keep them safe from life. We can't prevent them from being hurt. We can't prevent accidents from happening in their lives or life's hardships. It's all part of this life journey that each of us have, that each of us are on. We can't protect our kids from those. We can only be there and love them anyway and accept them. And it was a few years, maybe it was, I think it's been since I've lived in Colorado, so that's 9 years, that I realized that my son didn't need me to control everything in his life. Go figure. That wherever he went, wherever you go, I am there. Part of my heart is always with both my children, always. But I am there. That the same spirit in me is guiding him. And his life is not my life. It's different. I have to be able to release that. I had to be able to release that. It was really hard to do. knowing that he's okay because he's got his own divine essence. He's got his own guidance. He's going to follow his own path. Wherever he goes, I am there, my heart. Elizabeth Lesser says this about, she had 3 boys herself. If we can let them go with grace and God's speed, we also inherit the ability to love and to keep on loving as the object of our love grows, changes, and sets sail. That's what our kids do. That's what we want our kids to do. As tough as change is for us, that's a necessary one. So, are you charting a course to some specific desired destination? Or are you just letting life push you around, drifting in the sea with the wind? I invite you to look at that. Are you actually do you have a vision of where you want to go? Are you tacking to get there? Are you at the helm? Or are you just floating on around and letting the wind just move you? Whenever you find yourself drifting in thought to fear, to worry and anxiety, know that you can stand at the helm and set a new course. It's within you. That power is within you to do that, always. And know wherever you go, I am there. Ready about? Ready. I wish you fair winds on your journey. And I want to bring us now into a time of meditation. Get Amanda back up here. We're going to use Frank B. Whitney's poem. This is from Best Loved Unity Poems. So I invite you to take a deep breath. Gently close your eyes. Stay with the flow of your breath as I recite this poem. I am that in you that lives. I am that in you that moves. I am that in you that shines. I am the Christ. I am that in you that's lovely. I am that in you that's unafraid. I am that in you that's enduring. I am the Christ. I am that in you that's divine. I am that in you that's holy. I am that in you that's God. I am the Christ. You are all that. And wherever you go, I am there. Let us rest in the stillness for a few moments.